Hello, and welcome to our segment today with Shahla Ambreen. She is the owner of 2 Montessori schools here in Mississauga and a mother of 3. Shahla, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
My pleasure.
Now, when did you first move to Canada?
Wow, long time ago.
Yeah.
So I came to Canada in 1997, in the fall of 1997. And first I arrived in Montreal, and then over there I realized that my French was not so good.
Yeah.
So, it's better to move where I can comfortably converse. So then I moved to Toronto after that.
So how long were you in Montreal then?
Just for 1 year, but I really liked it. It's very different, and I like it very much. It's just that I got more family here and friends and family, so we decided that we just move here.
Okay, so we being who?
Me and my children, and my father came with us.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so yeah.
And how old were your children at the time?
At that time, they were very young. My oldest was not even 7 at that time.
Oh wow.
Yes,
Okay.
and my youngest daughter, she was barely 18 months by then.
Gosh. Okay.
Yeah, so there were some circumstances that I decided that I should move to Canada.
Right.
From Karachi, and start the life here.
So then here you are in Toronto with 3 young children, and it's 1998.
Yeah.
And then obviously you have friends and family, but how did you decide what direction you wanted to go from there?
Yes, so being a single mother and with 3 young children, I was all pumped up that I'm just gonna do something for my children. And so at that time, I was just exploring different avenues, and someone just mentioned about this EC course is being offered at Sheridan College.
Early childhood
education, and it was an intensive course. So luckily I got into it.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And after that, so it was just 1 year, and after that I started to work. But all the time I was also thinking about that, I have to do something. Like, it's not just that I will be only an EC teacher, but I really had some plans even at that time.
Oh, you knew then that you wanted more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So then, how long did you work as an ECE teacher?
So for almost 5 years, I worked at some Montessori schools and some childcare center. All the time, gaining all the experience through different jobs, and at the same time looking for opportunities to start my own Montessori school.
Okay. So you knew at the beginning that, okay, I'm going to be an ECE teacher, but eventually I wanted to own my own school, eventually.
Yes, yeah,
okay.
Because another reason that I started to think on those lines, that I'm just gonna have my own school, because oftentimes, like, each childcare center and each Montessori school where I worked, they had their own distinct, characteristics and culture and everything. And so I was gaining all the experience, and at the same time thinking that, okay, so this is something that I don't like, and this is something that I like. So, having ideas in my mind that when I will have my own Montessori school, so that's how I'm going to run it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's great that you had the plan and the idea, but how do you manage to turn that into a reality?
Yeah, that took 5 years.
Another 5 years. Okay, yes, it's not
So,
easy.
you know,
Yeah.
like right from the beginning, even when I started to work at my very first job, that was in my mind, because right from the beginning, my family, amazing and helpful, and they offered that they are going to help me if I want to do something, you know, like so I can be independent.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, finances also is a big
Yes,
part,
it
right,
is, yes.
for any business and anything. So yeah, the reality was that yes, my dad and my brothers and my sister, everybody was helping me out and encouraging me,
Oh,
and
great, yeah.
helping that, okay, you know, encouragement is also very important, and you know, for any ideas to become reality, right? If you get the right kind of support and right kind of guidance, that is also very important.
But in real life, there's always somebody who says, oh, your idea is crazy, it's never going to work. So there must have been people who said, oh, don't bother.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
how do mentally you listen to the people who encourage you and ignore the people that discourage you?
This is a good question. So one thing about me, that if I decide to do something, I just don't decide like this, but I thoroughly think about my idea.
Okay.
And when I'm finalize that, okay, I'm just gonna do this, then I stick to it.
Okay.
So like I think this is the best way to do it. Like for any other idea, any venture that you want to do, anything in life, thoroughly think about it, and you know.
So when you say think about it, like maybe, and I'm just guessing here, maybe people said, oh, there's too many schools, or you won't get the kids, or you're not the right type of person to open the school. So how do you overcome like specific criticism? You're like, oh, I don't know, maybe that's true, you know, maybe I'm not cut out for this.
Yeah, it's true, you know, there were a lot of schools around. And daycares.
Yes.
There are challenges in this field. It's the other thing is there are a lot of rules and regulations that you have to follow.
Yes.
It's not easy. Like you have to fulfill all the government requirements. There are different departments that they randomly come unannounced visits and they check you. So yeah, like you have to be you know, following all the guidelines and all the rules and regulations and the policies, and it's not easy, right? No. But I mean, there were people who were showing me the reality, that this is how it is, and you know, you have to be very careful, or you know, it's kind of a gambling that what you are doing.
Yes.
Maybe you won't get enough children,
right? That's
to get a good start, right? And everything, and there were hurdles, but like from inside me, something was telling me that, you know what, just stick to your idea and work on it and do it.
So would you say that basically you knew you were taking a risk, but you were willing to take it anyways?
Yes.
Yes.
You said it for me. Yes.
Because I do feel that in society in general, women are almost discouraged from taking risk.
Yes.
But also then we lose out on opportunities. So you knew you were taking a risk, and it can't have been, oh, I know it's going to work. There must have been some element of, oh no, what am I doing?
I know. It was. But I was not thinking about it much. Once I decided that, okay, I'm just going to do this, and then I just worked on my idea. There were many sleepless nights, you know, like it's a lot of work.
Yes.
But in the end, you know, once we got the school ready, and then we started the registration and everything, it took us almost right from the beginning till the end, more than 8 months.
From where to what? Get
the place? Just to get the place, and open the door.
Oh, no way.
Yes,
wow.
Unfortunately, it took a little longer, but that's how it is for any Montessori school or a child care center. 1 year is a typical time.
Okay.
Yes.
And so that's basically funds are going out and not really coming in.
Yes.
Yeah. So how long did it take you to even find a place? Was that a challenge?
It was a challenge as well. Luckily, we found a place in Mississauga. and I wanted like in Mississauga, but it was not easy to find a place here. But I believe when the right time comes, everything start to work your way.
Yes.
So somehow I got this place, and we negotiated a nice lease and everything, and we started to work over there. It was a lot of work, like going to the city, getting the permission done, and the building permit, and yes,
okay.
the health department, the fire department, the Ministry of Education. So yeah.
So when you had your ECA degree and then you worked for 5 years,
Yeah.
you wouldn't really have been exposed to the whole negotiating a lease agreement and getting building permits. So
Yeah.
how did you prepare or learn?
Nice. Here came my father, his help, his negotiating skills.
Really, that's
yeah,
excellent.
his business sense,
Oh, nice.
his journalism education,
Yes.
his journalism background, everything. So yeah, actually my father helped me a lot with all those.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then 8 months later, you open the doors,
Yeah.
and then how long till you have enough students where it's profitable? Because I doubt it's profitable on day one.
It does take time. 1 year is nothing.
Oh, okay.
For any business, 1 year
True,
is nothing.
very true, yes.
So it takes time to get the people know about you,
Yes.
right? And all this, and luckily it was not more than a year for us.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
And then you had the students' need, and finally it's a viable business.
it is now, and we have been in operation for almost 15 years now.
Yeah.
Fantalon Montessori School is an accredited Montessori school. We have a name in the community. Parents they recommend their family and friends. So we have a nice referral as well.
Well, that's certainly an excellent success story, but it's not the
Thank
end of
you.
your story.
Yes,
However,
it
we
isn't.
are going to go to a short break now, and then we'll be back and hear more about Shahla's successes. Thank you.
Are you sure about it? Let's do it then.
The family law lawyers at Alam Law Chambers will be with you during your stressful divorce and custody battle so that the best possible result can be found for you and your children. Reliable and affordable. Alam Law.
Welcome back. We're going to continue our lovely conversation with Shahla Ambreen, owner of 2 Montessori Schools. So speaking of 2 Montessori Schools, we've already established the work involved doing the first Montessori school.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had that for a certain number of years and decided to open a second branch. So how many years had you had that before you decided to expand?
Yes, okay. So for almost more than 5 years that I had Fantalon Montessori, and then another opportunity came my way.
Okay.
And this time I thought that my background is ECE, so why not try with some early childhood education, like a childcare center, a pure theme-based and not a Montessori school.
Oh, okay.
So I thought that would be another experience for me. And given that some parents, they come and they are really looking for a relaxed environment and
Yes.
like a childcare where
Right.
children are playing and and
Yes.
it's not like a structured environment. So that's what I thought that, and it is also true that even though Montessori method is an excellent method of teaching young children, however, sometimes we feel that this may not be the right method of teaching for the child, for the particular child.
Right, every child's different.
Every child is different,
Yes.
right? So for that purpose, and again, as I told you, an opportunity came my way. So I took it, and it was in a nice busy plaza. And so I was, very enthusiastic about the location.
And it's pretty close to the first location.
It was
Yes.
close, yes,
Yes.
it was close. And however, it was in a totally different neighborhood.
Oh.
And it's a very busy plaza over there, and there are a lot of exposure also, like,
Okay.
it was on the main road. So like all the signs were that it's going to be a very successful business.
Right.
Right. However,
Life.
now I'm laughing, but
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I
Yes.
was not laughing at that time. I was thinking like, what did I do?
Right, yes.
So unfortunately, for some circumstances, even though everything was great, I spent all my savings on my second venture. And I was quite confident that, it's gonna, as soon as I'm just gonna open the door,
Right.
and it will be filled up.
Yes.
Right. Unfortunately, it didn't happen.
Okay. Really, a busy area, and it was
You name it, and I had all the signs that can make a childcare center successful.
Okay, yes.
Over there. However, the fate.
Yeah.
For some reason, it did not pick up as it should
So
be.
it was already a child care center, right? And
There
you
used
took
to be one, and
Okay.
then they left and they went to some other bigger location, and so
okay.
I took over. So the basic building renovation, everything, the requirements were there. I did all the renovation, and
Yes.
I spent quite a bit of in my savings on
And
that
how
one.
long was that renovation time? period?
Renovation time took 6 months. Or
6
so.
months.
Yeah.
And I would assume you would have had some students who were there originally at that location.
No.
Oh,
they
all
did
moved.
not leave any student for us.
Oh, that's
Because
surprising.
they actually emptied the space.
Right.
And it was in a very bad condition. But because I knew that it just need a little bit of, renovation.
Right.
And after that, it will be good to go, because
Right.
the basics were there.
Right.
We had enough toilets that are necessary for X number of children.
Right.
We had the playground ready.
Yes.
We had all the government requirement, like there was enough sunlight coming, like all the
Oh, right,
basics
yes.
for a child care center. Even though it was like very well planned and everything, and I was so confident that I never had a second thought
Right.
that it's not gonna work out.
And then how long before you decided, okay, this really isn't
Yes,
working?
so it took me 3 years.
3 years. Okay, so you really tried, because you mentioned earlier
tried.
they should give at least a year for it to
Yes,
pick
1
up.
year is nothing for a business.
Nothing. Okay, so you already knew a year, and then
yeah.
second year, and then third year.
So I was just waiting, and it's not that there weren't children. There were children, but because it was a big center, we needed more and more children to fill it up and to even break even.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And that unfortunately never happened.
Okay. Yeah, so that's more of an economics type of thing. Okay.
Yeah, at that point, I thought that I think I gave it enough time.
Yes.
3 years is a long time,
Yes, yes.
right? And unfortunately, things were not working out. So I thought that it's time now that I should make a decision about it.
Yes, cut your losses.
And
right.
again, I made a bold decision.
Yes.
And I just
Your life seems to be full of bold decisions. Yes.
It is.
Yes. So you made another bold decision.
Yeah,
yes.
you're
and then,
right.
And
Yes.
you put it on the market then?
I did. And the funny thing is that at that time, I did not get any buyers. So
Okay.
it took us more than 6 months
Wow.
to find a buyer
Okay.
for that place.
Yes.
All the ingredients were there for a successful childcare center.
Right.
The location was amazing.
Yes.
It was in a very busy plaza, so exposure was
Yes.
right there,
Right.
right? The neighborhood has tons of children over there.
Right. Okay. Great. Convenience.
The renovated the building was awesome. It's
Right.
beautiful. Like as soon as you enter, you can just fall in love with it.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's how all the ingredients were there. However, it did not work out. So it took me a while to first of all decide that okay, now it's time to make a decision about it and just let it go. And it took another 6 months for that place to get a buyer and a reasonable offer.
Of course. That's
Yeah, and
important
at
too.
that time I was not looking for profit.
Okay.
Yeah, so at that time we are just. I thought that I'm just gonna give it to the any offer that will come my
Close
way.
enough to break even.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. So, fortunately, it happened, and I got a reasonable offer, and I accepted, and I let it go. I helped the new owner to run the
nice.
business
Okay.
with my guidelines and my guidance. I mean, and I helped them because I really wanted them to be successful.
Right.
Yeah,
Because
so,
all the ingredients were there. Yes,
yeah, but
exactly. So
but-
however, you didn't stop there then. So you sold this, but of course, why should Shahla stop,
Oh,
right?
my goodness,
Another bold decision. So when did this next bold decision
I
come?
think the next bold decision was necessary for me to overcome this feeling of failure,
Okay, fair enough.
right?
Yes.
And to assure myself that I can do it
Right.
and I can make right decisions.
Yes.
So the first of all, it took me a while to recover from all the loss.
That's right.
When I was able to stand on my 2 feet again. So another opportunity came my way.
Yes.
And of course I grabbed it.
Of course you did.
Yeah. But this time I was a bit cautious, so
Okay.
I did not go for a fancy plaza or
Okay,
you
yes.
know, and a very expensive place with higher rent. But this was it was affordable, and I was ready. I was
Yes.
ready for any challenges, even at that time. And this time, my children, they were grown up, so
Yeah.
they were like, "Mom, don't do it again." And I was like, again, there's if I decide about something, I
Yes.
do it. So
Okay.
I stick to my decision, and I told my children that don't you worry this time. I know it's not a lot of investment on my part, and I can, like, even if it's not gonna work out, I will be able to bear
Right.
that loss.
So
and everything.
you took the lessons learned from the previous experience and
Yes.
applied them to the next one.
Yes.
So you grew and you learned.
I
Yes.
definitely did, and yeah, even though like my children were telling me not to do it, Mom, you never listen. I was like, okay, they are old enough now that they
Yes.
can advise me. But like I think there is something inside your heart that tells you that what you are doing is right, and if you just follow that voice.
Yes. And ultimately you
helps.
knew you would be fine. Like you judged the level of risk.
Yes, I
Yes.
did. I did.
Yeah. So yes, it was risky, but it was a calculated risk.
It was.
Yes.
Yes.
And so how long have you had the second location now?
It's almost 3 years now.
3 years. Okay. And so that is now money's coming in as opposed to just going out.
It's just money. It's a small school,
Yes.
so money actually is not my priority
Okay.
with this one.
But it is a viable business, is my
It is
question.
like
yes.
more so. It was for my own self-confidence.
Yes.
That I can make right decisions.
Yes.
And so I think it was for my own happiness and
Right.
my own confidence
Yeah.
that I took this risk, and I opened another campus for Frontierland Montessori School. Because it is a very small school, my second location. So
Yes.
again, it's not a lot of money involved here,
Right.
but few things you do in life for your own self too, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yes.
Not everything that's you for money, and so yeah,
So you learned.
yes. I did.
So just to sort of wrap this up, what advice would you offer other women who are looking to start their own businesses? Like, what do you wish you had known?
My advice to all those ladies who are out there and they have entrepreneurial ambitions and
Yes.
skills, first of all, whatever field you want to go, know it thoroughly. It could be a childcare center, it could be a store, it could be
Right.
it could be anything, a clothing business.
Right.
But you should know what risks are involved there,
Yes.
and you should know your field better. Plus, you should have idea that how much investment
True.
it will need,
Yes.
and how long you can sustain it without making any profit or without even making doing break even. So yeah, like all those risks are involved in there. However, if you are determined, if you have the right kind of knowledge and the right skills, go for it.
Excellent. That is great advice. I'm going to end it right there and go for it. So thank you very much for joining us. We heard from Ms. Shahla Ambreen about how she started her business, took calculated risks, and encourages others to go for it as well. Thank you very much for joining us.